Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about coordination compounds. Coordination compounds are a class of compounds in which metal is attached to the ligand through coordinate covalent bond. Now, what is coordinate covalent bond? Means only one atom is donating its both electrons, but they are shared between both metal as well as the ligand. And once this coordinate bond is formed, then we can't distinguish whether it is a coordinate bond or it is a covalent bond. Now, in these coordinate bonds, there are two types of atoms. First one is the metal ion. Since these metal ions they are deficient in electrons, so they are considered as Lewis acids, while the ligands, since they are electron rich species, means that they have donor atoms either as lone pairs, so they are considered as Lewis bases. Now, what are the basic components of coordination compounds? In these coordination compounds, there is a complex ion, that is, in this example of K2PtCl6, the part that is PtCl6, which is enclosed in square bracket, that is considered as a complex ion, and the part that is this is K2, this is considered as a counter ion. Here it is a positive counter ion, and the complex ion here it is acting as a negative part. These two entities, that is K2 counter ion and the complex ion, both of them they combined to form a coordination complex. Now there are several number of examples in which these coordination compounds they do not contain any complex sign, means that is they do not contain any entity which is enclosed in the square bracket, like you are seeing over here in this example, that is in FeCO5, that is pentacarbonyl iron, where there is nothing in the square bracket, but still they form a class of coordination compounds. Now these coordination compounds they are formed mainly by the transition metals. They are formed mainly by the transition metals. Now, what are transition metals? Here the portion in the green box which you are looking, that are the transition metals. Now, what is the definition of transition metals? Metals which contain partially or half-filled d orbitals in their mostly commonly occurring state, oxidation states, they are known as transition metals. Here, like in scandium, it is 3d1 configuration. In titanium, it is 3d2, and up to copper, which is 3d9. Now, I have not considered zinc, cadmium, and mercury in transition metals because they contain fully filled d orbitals. But in order to maintain the rational classification of elements, these three they are put in the transition metals. Now, this is the first 3D transition series, that is from scandium to copper, and from yttrium to silver it is the 4D transition series, and from lanthanum, hafnium up to gold it is the 5D transition series. These are the complexes, these are the metals which form a large part of the coordination compounds. The basic properties of coordination compounds are, that is, these transition metals they have been used in medicines and form vital part of biological systems. For example, copper is essential for the proper functioning of heart. Zinc is able to metabolize a large number of enzymes in our body. Then these transition metals, there are 10 transition metals, that is vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, molybdenum and cadmium, which are vital and form essential part for the normal biological function in humans. Why? Because these transition metals they have tendency to show multiple oxidation states, different geometries, and they are able to bind to different ligands in these different oxidation states. When they combine with these ligands, they form very small three-dimensional molecules which easily bind with the or interact with the biological fluids. These coordination compounds are electron deficient species, while protein and DNA in the biological systems they are electron rich species, so they easily interact with each other. Moreover, these transition metals they form large number of colored complexes. They show highly catalytic properties and therefore they are vast studied in bioinorganic reactions. These are now we will study about the definition of ligands. What are ligands? Ligands are the molecules or ions that surround the metal in a complex ion. The basic property which a ligand should satisfy, that is, it should contain at least one lone pair of electrons. They should not, ligand can be either neutral molecule or it can be anionic, but a ligand can never have a positive charge. For example, here first example is of water where oxygen is carrying lone pair of electrons. So it acts as ligand. Second example is of ammonia where nitrogen is carrying lone pair of electrons. So it will again act as ligand. And both these are examples of neutral ligands where they are not having any negative charge. Now the third example is of chloride ion, which is again having lone pair of electrons, and in addition to that it also carries a negative charge. So it is an example of anionic ligand. Now here you can see the example of a complex ion in which central metal atom is the copper and it contains four ligands, that is first ligand over here, first, this one is the second, then third, and this is the fourth ligand. These are four ligands which are surrounding the central metal ion. Since in these ligands they bind with the copper only through nitrogen, not through hydrogens. Why? As I have earlier told that since lone pairs are with nitrogen, so it is the only nitrogen which can combine with the copper through coordinate covalent bond. And this whole complex which is in the square bracket, that is known as a complex ion. Here I have not shown its counter ion. There are certain more examples of some common ligands. Ligands, we can classify these ligands as monodentate, bidentate or polydentate. Now in the first example where I am showing the monodentate ligands, monodentate means ligands which are having only one donor atom. For example, ammonia, as I have earlier told that it contains only nitrogen, so it is monodentate. Then chloride ion, which contains again only one Cl, then it is again falls in the category of monodentate ligands. Then it is cyanide ion. Here you can see lone pairs are lying both with carbon as well as nitrogen, but at a time only either carbon or nitrogen it will combine with the metal, so it will act only as monodentate ligand and not as a bidentate ligand. Here in thiocyanate also you can see lone pairs, they are either on sulfur and on nitrogen atom, but they can coordinate with the metal either through sulfur atom or through the nitrogen atom. Such category of ligands which have more than one donor atom, but they combine with the central metal ion either through uh, sulfur or through nitrogen, they are known as ambidentate ligands. Second category is of bidentate ligands. Here you can see in bidentate there are two donor atoms, that is first nitrogen over here and second one over here. Both of these they combine with metal atom like this, Here you in the center there will be metal atom over here, and hence they are known as bidentate ligands. Then next example is of the polydentate ligands, means they have more than two donor atoms. For example, the example is of EDTA, that is ethylene diamine tetraacetate ion. Here you can see the first donor atom, first, second, this is the third one, third, fourth, then it is the fifth one, and this is the sixth one. So it falls in the category of hexadentate ligands, but in general terms we call them as polydentate ligands. This classification I have already explained. That is, I will explain it again. That is, first one is the monodentate, means which have one donor atom. Bidentate, which have two donor atoms. Polydentate means they have more than two donor atoms. Next are the category of chelating agents. Chelating agents means which when combined with the metal ion, they form a ring type structure that are known as chelating agents. So these chelating ligands, when they combine with the metal ion, they form coordination complexes which are more stable as compared to the metal complexes which are formed with monodentate, bidentate or polydentate ligands. So we can say that the ligands which chelate with the metal ion, they form highly stable complexes as compared to the ligands which are non-chelating, means which do not form any ring structure with the metal ion. So next we will discuss about the overall charge on the complex ion. Now the complex ion, as I have already told you, that it can either be anionic complex or it can be cationic complex. This overall charge on the complex ion is determined by oxidation state of the metal and charges on the ligand. Now the structure of coordination compounds. Coordination compounds, the structure of coordination compounds, it plays a significant role in determining its properties. That is, we can determine the properties of coordination complexes by their structure. That is, their structure plays a very important role. Now, structure is related with the coordination number, that is, how many ligands they are combined with the metal, that is the coordination number of the complex. Now, on the basis of that, if we have two ligands, then the structure will be linear. If the coordination number of the metal is 4, that is 4 ligands are attached to the central metal ion, then it can have two types of geometries, that is either tetrahedral or square planar geometry. And if it is having coordination number 6, then the geometry can be octahedral. These are the some common geometries which is shown over here. This is, first one is a linear geometry. In this linear geometry, I have already told you that there are two ligands. This is the first ligand and this is the second ligand. So it has two ligands. Metal is having two ligands, that is its coordination number is 2. So it is adopting a linear geometry with an angle of 180 degrees. With an angle of 180 degrees. Second one, in the second example where the coordination number is 4, that is it is having 4 ligands. This is the first one, this is the second one, third one, and this is the fourth one. And in this example again there are 4 ligands, so two types of geometries are possible, either tetrahedral geometry or the square planar geometry. In tetrahedral geometry, this bond angle is of 109 degrees and 28 minutes. These all angles are same, that is 109 degrees 28 minutes, all these four angles. And in square planar geometry, this angle is of 90 degrees. Now the last example is of metal complex with coordination number 6. Here you can see 6 ligands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Here they are adopting the octahedral geometries where we have two types of positions. First one is the axial position and second one are the equatorial positions. Now, the applications of coordination compounds. These coordination compounds, they have found application in metallurgy. Now, what is metallurgy? That is extraction of elements by complex formation. That is metallurgy. Then second one is the chelation therapy. In chelation therapy, the toxins are removed from the bodies of individuals by chelation, either with EDTA. Then in chemotherapy, the complexes, coordination complexes, they are used to inhibit the growth of cancer cells. Then in chemical analysis, where they are used both for qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. For example, here I have shown the example of DMG, that is dimethyl glyoxime, which is used for the estimation of nickel ions. This is one coordination complex which you are looking on the slide. That is, here it is a central metal atom, and this is the DMG. This is the DMG, that is dimethyl glyoxime. I hope that the concept of coordination compounds is clear to you all. Thank you very much.